Hello, and thank you for watching The Righteous Kitchen, a cooking and baking blog found at www.therighteouskitchen.blogspot.com. I am getting ready to make my mother's famous recipe for enchilada stack. And it's a stacked enchilada that she's been making in her family since the 1980s. And I want to show you, before we get started, I have everything prepped. I have the enchilada sauce ready. My baking tray is ready. I've got the flour tortillas and the butter. The pan is ready. My ingredients for the meat filling have been prepped and measured. And then I also have cheddar cheese and jack cheese that's already been shredded and ready in the refrigerator. So I'm going to walk you through this recipe. In a large skillet, you're going to want to go ahead and get that heated up. For demonstration purposes, I am using an electric skillet. You would just use, your cast iron fry pan or large skillet, just whatever you have, and just use it there on the stove. So while this is heating, I am using ground turkey breast. I don't cook with ground beef for myself. So this turkey breast is lean, and it's been fortified. For each pound of ground turkey, I put in 1 tablespoon of kitchen bouquet browning and seasoning sauce and 1 tablespoon of dried ground mushroom powder. So that's already been fortified. When I get the ground turkey home, I just go ahead and fortify it and then I freeze it. So that's one step that I don't have to do when I'm getting ready to cook. So that's all been done for me. I'm going to get this ground turkey cooked, and I'm using this nice little gadget from Pampered Chef. And what it does is it helps you to crumble the meat as it's cooking. And then to this ground turkey, I'm going to add 1 finely diced onion. So this little chopper is perfect for this kind of recipe, because as we're stacking this enchilada, you're going to want a nice fine crumble on that. It's just going to help to keep your layers even. So I'm going to let this cook down a little bit, and then I'll be back to finish up the filling. Okay, this turkey has cooked through, and I've just been over here crumbling it up. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my chili powder, salt, pepper, and I have some roasted garlic. Her recipe calls for minced garlic, but when I get my garlic, I just go ahead and roast it all at one time, and then I store it in olive oil and just pull that out as needed. So what I'm going to do now is just let this simmer for a few minutes and let everything come together. Now I don't know if I just said, but I didn't drain this. There wasn't very much liquid coming off of this. So what you're going to get from this ground turkey breast isn't going to be a lot of fat, but it's going to be water coming out of it. So there wasn't any need to drain that. Actually, I want it right now to come in here and help me to get these spices blended. So what I'm going to do is just let this cook for a few minutes and put a lid on it, and then I'll be right back. Okay, this meat mixture has been cooking for a few minutes, and that's just to get everything seasoned. So what I'm going to do is just transfer this. Give it a little more combine here. Combine it up a little bit. Make sure everything's mixed up. All right. What I'm going to do is get everything into this large mixing bowl. I'm going to stir in 1 6-ounce can of olives, and I sliced them, and I'm going to get all this meat mixture in this mixing bowl with the olives. And in this electric skillet, I'm just going to make everything in here. So I kind of want to, you know, clean it up a little bit. So I am using this Pampered Chef spatula, and it's a really good at getting in here and getting everything cleaned up off of the skillet. And I kind of just want it, you know, cleaned up so that I don't have to wash this pan. So I'm pretty happy with the Pampered Chef utensils. They really do work great. Okay, so stir everything, and that filling looks really good already. It looks nice and yummy. All right, so I'm going to just set this off to the side, let it cool, bring my skillet back, and I'm going to put it on, you know, medium high again, and I'm going to let this get warmed up, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I am ready to start on buttering and frying up these flour tortillas. Now, you can also make this same recipe using corn tortillas. I am here frying up the tortillas, and it uses quite a few, anywhere between 7 to 8 tortillas. And I want to show you what my mom always did. She had a stick of butter and just, you know, unwrapped a little bit of it, but still kept the wrapper where you could hold it. You put a little butter on the bottom, put your tortilla on there, and then, while this is still melty, you put it over the top. And then you just wait for that to start to bubble. Now, we're not crisping these up like a quesadilla. We're just waiting till they start to bubble, and then we turn it over. And then that second side gets bubbly as well. So you see how there's brown on it, but it's still pliable? That's all you want to do. So this is the last tortilla, and I probably got 10 of them cooked up. And I just stacked them in a plate. So I'm going to let that cool down a little bit, and then I'm going to finish up my meat filling. So I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. I've had the meat filling over to the side cooling. I buttered and fried up the flour tortillas, and I have them on a plate. My baking tray is prepped. I just put a sheet of parchment down. And what I want to do before that, though, is go ahead and add the cheese. Now I have a blend of cheddar and jack, or you can, you know, get Colby cheddar. I think that's already blended already. But I've reserved some for the top, and then the rest of it, I'm just going to stir it right in to the meat filling. And then this is a little shortcut. We used to put the meat on and then spread the cheese over. but it's really better if you just let your filling cool a little bit and then have the cheese already blended for you. So you're getting a perfect meat and cheese ratio, and it's just a lot easier to stack that way. You might even get a better mix if you just use your hands. I like to use gloved hands at this point because it's a little bit messy. And really get underneath. That's my timer. The oven is set to 350. So get your hands underneath this mixture and then making sure you get everything combined. All right. My hands are going to get messy anyway, so I'm not going to wash. We're going to go right into, we're going to go right into layering. All right, so I have hatch chili is what we're using. And I read online that this stacked enchilada is a New Mexico recipe. And so what could be better than to use the hatch enchilada sauce? So I'm going to just put some down and get my tortilla, coated with this. We want it, generously coated. All right. So there is our bottom layer. And I'm going to take a nice spoonful of this. I want to bring this all the way to the edges. That's going to help to keep our stack nice and level all the way to the edge. Even, outside the edge if you have to, but we want it all the way to the edge. And I'm going to put just a little bit more in there. Even layer. Press it down. And then another shortcut, instead of dipping these, is I just pour it right from the can. So I get one side generously. And then we're going to do the same thing. And then you can go in and tuck that meat, if it falls out, back up under there. So here we go. All the way to the sides. And how many layers you get is going to be dependent upon the filling. So okay, let's do that again. Nice and sloppy. Turn it over. All the way to the ends. Just, I just work the ends first. And if you have some that's flipping over, then go underneath it and support it with more filling. See right here, it dips a little bit. Just go under here and bring it back up. You want a nice support system right here There we go. Bring it back up. All right, I'm going to do one more layer for you, and then I'll just finish the rest. See how that's nice and even? Here we go. Edges. And you'll get the sides sinking because these tortillas aren't perfectly a circle or the same size. So just, you know, expect over here to put a little more, even it up. You can get those scraps that fall down. All right, so I'm going to finish the rest of this. And then we just, you know, you're going to, you know, sauce this up and stack each layer until you run out of filling. And then if you need more sauce, you know, I put a second one out because I might need more sauce. Now see how this is, you know, there's a few spots now that looks like it needs to be leveled up. So just get in there and level it. And you could flatten it in the middle if you're having a problem. This tortilla was larger than the rest, so you just go in there and make your adjustments. It's not a big deal. And I am going to need that other can opened. Now I'm not really worried about washing my gloves or anything. I'm just going to shake this up. I was also reading online that typically they only do 4 layers. If you want smaller layers, then you know, you don't have to make it as tall. But I think if you're going to go through the trouble of doing this, you might as well go for that height. That's always impressive. And then you could always get that extra sauce that's on the bottom. Put that on there. Give it a little press there. If you have extra sauce left over, just put it in a Ziploc freezer bag and save it. I think this is going to be our last one. We have just a little bit of filling. I want to make sure we get everything in there. Now I will kind of get that ground meat off of my hands. All right, so our last one here, same thing. Get it coated. Oh, and I do see some meat filling. Before you put this last one, get all of those meat pieces from the sides that fell off. Okay. And then make sure it's even. And then we have our cheese. And a little more sauce. Again, tuck everything in those layers if it's spilling out. And I think this looks pretty fabulous. Now you could do this in a springform pan if you're worried about your layers, but I think we'll be okay. All right. I'm going to take these gloves off. Wipe up the side of this pan a little bit. And I'm putting it right in the middle of the oven that's been preheated to 350 degrees. And we're going to want this to get in there and get all nice and melty. All this cheese is going to be melted. So that should probably take, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, this enchilada stack has been in the oven for a half an hour. And the cheese is nice and melted. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it out. There we go. Nice and cheesy and melty. Now some of the cheese came out over the top. I think I had a little bit too much on the top, but that's fine. What I'm gonna do now is just let this set for about 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna attempt to move it to a different platter for presentation. This had some enchilada sauce and cheese that, you know, came out of it as it was baking. That's fine. We sauced it up really good and we put a lot of cheese on it, and that's just exactly how you want your enchiladas. You don't want dry, you know, enchiladas that are dry and not saucy. So what I'm going to do, just in case I can't move this to a platter, I'm just gonna, you know, clean up this a little bit, still allowing it to cool. And you can serve this, when you slice it, you can serve this as extra sauce. But since I have this parchment paper underneath, I could just clean it up and serve it right from this baking tray. Okay, this is cooled up, and I've scooped up a little bit of that excess enchilada sauce that was out from the sides. And what I'm going to do is just scoot this over onto a nice cake plate. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this side to pull it over, but this side over here I'm going to go ahead and trim up, because we're not going to want to see this parchment paper. And like I said, this is just for presentation. If you're just cooking this for your family at home, you're not going to go through all this. This is one of the nice benefits of cooking with parchment. It's easy cleanup, and then it also allows you to move your food. So this bowl has a lip on it. And there we go. So there's that. I may be able to, at this point, lift it up and get the rest of the parchment off, or I could just simply, you know, cut around it. Let's see. Yeah, I need to lift this up a little bit. Okay, I'm using a all right. There we go. Look at that. Don't be intimidated by your food, people. Just, you know, a little bit of confidence goes a long ways. Look at that. Let me wash my hands. While that is still cooling, I'll go ahead and get my mess cleaned up. And let that just cool a minute while I get these dishes cleaned up. All right, I'm using a serrated knife. And just cut it a second time. Now, when you cut this, cross up and over that first. Don't take it right to the tip. Go over that. And that's going to give you a better way for it to release, because it's been clean cut here right at the top. So let's try it with this offset spatula. I just need something to get in here at this point to get it out of there. There we go. Look at that. I always like a dish like this, a pie or a cake. I always like to show the insides after it's been cooked. And then I would put a little dollop of sour cream. And there it is. It's very saucy. I like that. Very cheesy. And like I said, this is from what I found out online, and if you have any information on this dish, please comment. But I'm going to say this is a enchilada stack. Influence was from New Mexico. And we did, in honor of that, use the Hatch chili sauce. Now, they would have a fried egg on top. So when you go to cut into that, that yolk would run down in here and just make it even more saucy. But there it is. enchilada stack. It's a very delicious recipe, certainly a family favorite. And another nice thing about this is I'll put this in the refrigerator to chill completely, and then I could come back and slice it and then individually wrap these in saran wrap and then let them all freeze, and then come back, and for long-term storage freezer I would seal them in the Food Saver freezer bags. So that's always nice too. But here it is, Mom's enchilada stack recipe. I hope that you do try it and use all these tips and tricks for a successful recipe. Please comment and share. Let me know if you tried it, and if you have any other information on the origin of this recipe. Again, go ahead and just leave that in the comments. But thank you for watching today. Please like, subscribe, and share.